Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Now, in yesterday's trading session, it was a sharp sell-off that we saw in the final hour of trade. The Nifty, well, on a closing basis, it managed to keep its head above the 10,500 odd mark. The Sensex ended down 140 points. The Nifty Bank was the big underperformer yesterday. That ended with a cut of around 1.5%. And the mid-caps, for majority of the trading session, they outperformed. They managed to end as flat as can be, but they gave up close to around 200 points in the final hour of trade. Ekta, things are looking good though early this morning. Your analysis of how's trade set up?
Well, I'll just reiterate what you said about yesterday's trading session, where the markets gave up gains in the last hour of trade, and what seemed to really spook the markets was the PNB fraud case, and that was evident in the Nifty PSU Bank index, which ended 4.7% lower. The FIIs net sold over 700 odd crores. The DIIs net sold over 150 odd crores in the cash market yesterday. But today's things seem to be looking a little better for us. Let's see. So the US markets have ended higher. We don't have much in terms of cues coming out for Asia, for the simple reason that you mentioned most of the markets in Asia are closed, and the likes of Singapore are also going to shut early today. So the SGX is indicating that yes, we could see a bit of an upside in terms of a start, so up around 0.7% currently for the SGX. But the two things that could probably contain the gains or the enthusiasm for our market would be Brent, which has spiked up over 2% overnight, and separately the PSU banks continue to be in focus on account of this PNB fraud. Plus, yes, change in NPA provisions, but I think this fraud which is unveiling in terms of the extent of it would be something that the markets would need to factor in at some point. So the Nifty 100-day moving average stands at around 10,375.9. So that would be something that the street would look for in terms of a support level. In terms of results post-market, Sun Pharma, Jet, Nestle, all these numbers are a couple of the headline numbers which came out. But besides that, there were other numbers which also the street would be working with.
Let's get straight to that then, Ekta. Tell us which are the other numbers that we should be looking out for. And I think today is safe to say that we're pulling down the curtains on earnings season.
Phew, finally.
Yeah.
No, but a lot of stocks in focus. So the likes of Apollo Hospital, Shriram EPC, PNC, Infratech, Repco, Bhushan Steel, Cox & Kings, HTIL, MT Educare, Specialty, Phoenix Mills, all of these stocks will be reacting to numbers. Separately, Infibeam has approved the issuance of convertible warrants of up to 40 crores to Network 18. And that would be a part of the channel that you're watching, that is Network 18, so that's a disclaimer. Fortis, where Supreme Court is going to hear the Daiichi case, so that would be a stock in focus as well. Vardhaman Specialty Steel Board has approved the opening of a QIP. Prime Focus issues warrants worth 3.1 crores to promoters, non-promoters. Mercator to demerge the dredging business. Tata Power to issue NCDs worth around 3,500 crores via private placement. So these are a couple of stocks that I'd be focusing on.
All right, Ekta, but let's take the other story forward. Then we're talking about PNB. For the time being, we'll slip into a short break.
The big story that we've tracked since yesterday, Punjab National Bank ended with deep cuts of almost 10% following a fraud of $1.8 billion at one of its Mumbai branches. Ritu Singh, who has been tracking this story closely, is here with the latest developments of this particular news story. That is also the details of the letter from PNB to 30 banks, warning them that officials at their foreign branches may be in collusion with the people involved. Ritu, over to you.
We've accessed a letter written by Punjab National Bank in confidence to the chiefs of 30 other banks, including the largest banks, State Bank of India, ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, Allahabad Bank, Corporation Bank, IDBI Bank, you name it. Several of them named on this list, where it has informed them of this fraud that has happened at Punjab National Bank. Before I come to the contents of the letter, the most important point that comes out through this letter is Punjab National Bank laying the blame also on the overseas overseas branches of some of these Indian banks, and not on the Punjab National Bank officials alone. It says they also, the officials of overseas branches of Indian banks also connived with the officials of Nirav Modi Group companies and Gitanjali Gems Group companies to defraud the banks of all of this, money. They did not share information relating to the documents that were submitted to them, and therefore are part and parcel of this entire fraud that has now come upon the Punjab National Bank. The letter says that they have found a junior bank branch official that had issued unauthorized and fraudulent letters of undertakings through SWIFT on behalf of companies belonging to Nirav Modi Group. Those include Solar Exports, Stellar Diamonds, as well as Diamonds RU, as also on behalf of Gitanjali Gem Group companies, including Gitanjali Gems, Jilly India, as well as Nakshatra. What it says is these LOUs were issued to avail buyer's credit from the overseas branches of Indian banks, and one is to assume that a lot of these 30 banks that are the letters addressed to would be involved when it comes to discounting against these LOUs that were issued. It says none of the transactions were routed through the core banking system, which is why they, they escaped or avoided early detection by PNB officials. It says the LOUs were opened in favor of overseas branches of Indian banks for, and this is important, the import of pearls for a 1-year period. Now, this, it says, is in clear violation of RBI guidelines that stipulate only a 90-day timeline from the date of shipment for versus the 1-year timeline given in these LOUs for the import of pearls. This, it says, is a fact that was overlooked by the officials of overseas branches of Indian banks. It says there's clear criminal connivance of group companies of Nirav Modi and Gitanjali Gems with PNB branch officials and the officials of the overseas branches of Indian banks, which has really led to this big scam of 11,000 crores being unearthed now. It says the fraud was detected when that junior official of one of the Mumbai branches retired, and that is when this fraud came to light. We, of course, understand from sources that the LOUs were issued all the way back in 2011, and all these years the scam went undetected. These were ongoing criminal proceedings. None of these had really come to light because, as I said, this was completely kept off the core banking system. Of course, this is clearly shifting the blame away from just Punjab National Bank to several other banks, because remember, it is Punjab National Bank that would have to honor all of these credits that were extended to Nirav Modi and Gitanjali Gem Group companies by all of these overseas banks. So clearly, it is shifting some of that blame to other banks as well.
Okay, all right. Thanks so much for that, Ritu. Well, Lata also joins in. Lata, you've picked up from sources that Nirav Modi has written a letter to banks promising to repay all the loans he availed of. What does this letter say? And secondly, could you tell us what kind of an impact can we see on the banking stocks, Lata?
First up, the letter has apparently been written to several banks. We got it from a couple of bankers. It says that I want to honor all my dues, and that his own brand, Firestar Diamonds, is valued at about 6,535 crores. He will take about 3 to 6 months to encash it, and from the proceeds of the sale, he will be able to pay up all that money. He has also said that he's engaging an investment banker, and therefore he needs 3 to 6 months. Now, the bankers obviously are not able to buy the story at all. It would be different if he said, I would be selling my jewelry, I'll sell my shops. You know, your brand, now what is left of the brand after you're exposed as, as a person indulging in loot? How is it that there is any brand value left? So they are not able to make, they're not seeing any comfort in that letter. Well, as for implications, we will have to wait and see. It looks like the banking sector, especially the public sector banks, will go into a bit of a shell for some time to check all their LCs and ensure that the reconciliation is tighter than has hitherto been. So at least with respect to the diamond jewelry sector, it's quite possible that they will go into a lull, and you may see that impact on the markets. Separately, we do not know the stock market activities of Mehul Choksi and the Gitanjali Group. They have been fairly active. It's a stock that is widely traded, Gitanjali Gems. So if loans have been lent, by anybody, any of the family members of this group, to, after all, it's 13,000 crores, it's a lot of money. So if they are also stock market players, then you could have some of the high beta stocks also going into a bit of a shell. But we don't know those connections yet. We don't know how exactly this can. There could be a risk aversion on the part of PSU banks, especially towards jewelry stocks. And there could be ramifications for the stock market, which we may know in coming hours.
Okay, all right, Lata. Well, definitely a developing story that we're tracking very closely here at CNBC TV18.